Welcome back to Hopeful Moments 1. Welcome to an extended drama-filled Reddit video that I bet you won't dare to skip. Today, I bring you 4 top-tier stories: a bride wondering if getting pregnant was a mistake, a courtroom twist no one saw coming, an entitled sister nearly ruining a vacation, and a petty revenge that's oh so satisfying. Are you ready? Grab a seat and a drink, because we're in for 30 minutes of laughter and chills. Hit play. Now, let's dive into our first story, the pregnant bride and the wedding disaster, which I'll stretch into a solid 15 to 20 minutes, dark fluff style, dramatization, humor, sarcasm, personal reactions, and theories to keep the audience hooked. I'll expand the background, develop situations further, and maximize engagement to make the story even richer. Story 1, Drama, the pregnant bride and the wedding disaster. First, we head over to our /Bridesalas, the land where brides turn into horror movie protagonists. But this time, the drama goes beyond imagination. Our OP is a bride-to-be who had everything set for her big day: a pure white wedding dress, fresh flowers from the city's best florist, and a breathtaking outdoor venue with a sunset backdrop. She wrote, "I've dreamed of this wedding since I was a kid, like a princess walking into her castle." Sounds romantic, right? But then, 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test turned everything upside down. OP found out she was pregnant just 2 months before her wedding, a surprise that, for many, would be a joyful moment. She wrote, "I held the test, shaking, both excited and nervous, but I thought, hey, a baby at the wedding would be adorable." She immediately told her fiancé, let's call him P, and he was over the moon. He picked her up, spun her around, and shouted, "I'm going to be a dad." At this point, I thought this was turning into a heartwarming love story. But no, the real drama began when his family got involved. And the one who lit the match. Future MIL, let's call her G because I don't want to use real names. Who knows, she might actually watch this video. OP described G as an old-school traditionalist who believes in doing things the right way. So when P called his mom with the big news, G didn't congratulate them. She didn't laugh, cry, or cheer. No, she just went silent for a long moment and then dropped this bomb: pregnant before marriage? Unacceptable. The wedding must be postponed. OP was stunned. Postpone? I already booked the venue, printed the invitations, and paid deposits. But G didn't care. She called the entire family, telling them OP brought shame to their name, even though the baby bump wasn't even visible yet. And then, she went even further. G told OP, "You don't deserve to be my daughter-in-law if you can't keep yourself proper." At this point, I wanted to jump into Reddit and scream, "Gee, this is the 21st century. No one cares about this anymore. You think this is a historical drama?" But the drama wasn't over. G had a reputation to uphold and hatched a plan to restore the family's honor. She called OP and said, "Give birth first, then have the wedding. That way, you'll look beautiful in your dress." OP was fuming. Look beautiful? You want me to cancel everything, lose my deposits, and explain to 150 guests why there's no wedding? At first, P stood by OP's side, telling his mom, "I don't care, I want to marry her now." But G had a trick up her sleeve. She guilt-tripped him with family tradition. She went, "Your grandmother waited until after giving birth to get married. Don't break tradition." Slowly, P started to waver. One day, he hesitantly suggested, "Maybe we should wait, babe. You'll look better after the baby, and my mom won't be so stressed." OP lost it. Look better? You want me to give birth, be exhausted, then have a wedding? And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, G got backup, P's sister, let's call her H, who sent OP a message: "If you get married while pregnant, no one from our family will attend. It's embarrassing." OP wrote, "I read that message and wanted to cry. I just wanted a happy wedding. Why is this happening?" And I wanted to scream, "H, she's having a baby, not committing a crime." At this point, OP turned to Reddit and asked a heartbreaking question: "Should I have not gotten pregnant?" And that's when the comments exploded. Team OP was like, get married anyway. G is outdated. A baby is a blessing, not a reason to cancel a wedding. Team Neutral said, postponing isn't the worst idea. Prioritize your pregnancy, then have a stress-free wedding. And then there was the hilarious crowd, pregnant before marriage? So what? At least you proved your husband works. I nearly choked laughing, but honestly, I agree with Team OP. Oh, and here's a juicy update. Turns out, G had cancelled another relative's wedding before, over the same reason. OP wrote, she told me if we marry now, she won't come. She'll make sure no one from the family does. And I was like, G, are you organizing a wedding boycott? Do you think you're the queen of the neighborhood? Now, I have a theory for you all. What if G doesn't actually care about the pregnancy but just wants to control the wedding? Maybe she wants to pick the date, the dress, and the venue, to prove she's in charge. Or maybe she's afraid of the neighbors gossiping. Did you hear? G's daughter-in-law was already pregnant at the wedding. But let's be real, who even does the math on people's wedding pregnancies anymore? If I were OP, I'd go ahead with the wedding. Invite whoever wants to come, and if G doesn't show up, oh well. But I get that OP is under pressure. So tell me, what would you do? Would you get married as planned or delay it to please G? Or would you get petty and just not invite her? I need to know. So there you have it, the drama-filled mess that turned a dream wedding into a battlefield over a tiny baby bump. Whose side are you on? Is G right, or does OP deserve her wedding? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know you have family drama of your own to share. Story 2, the unexpected, the juror and the verdict no one saw coming. Next, we step into our jury duty, a place where ordinary people like you and me sit in the hot seat, deciding the fate of others. OP shares their experience of being summoned for jury duty for the first time. They don't specify the exact nature of the case, but from the details, it seems like a minor shoplifting incident. OP writes, I thought jury duty would be boring, just sitting there listening to lawyers argue all day and trying not to fall asleep. But no, my friends, this trial turned out to be a suspenseful thriller with so many twists that by the end, I just wanted to scream, thank God I wasn't there, I would have been stressed to death. OP received a jury summons months before, the kind of letter you open and immediately think, why me? But there was no escaping it, so they had to show up at the courthouse on a chilly morning, sitting with 11 other jurors, a bunch of strangers OP described as looking like they walked straight out of a TV show. There was an elderly lady knitting while waiting, a hipster guy taking detailed notes in a notebook, and a grumpy middle-aged man mumbling, I just want to go home and watch football. Just picturing that scene had me laughing. What kind of jury lineup is this? The trial began with the defendant, a young man in his 20s, with a kind-looking face that made you think, there's no way this guy did anything wrong. He was accused of shoplifting from a convenience store, not anything expensive, just small items like snacks or canned drinks. The evidence seemed clear, security footage showed him holding the items, stuffing them in his pockets, and a store employee testified that they saw him leave without paying. The prosecutor stated, this is a blatant theft, the defendant has no defense. But the defendant insisted, I didn't take anything. I was just looking at the items and put them back. His defense attorney added, the camera doesn't show him actually leaving with the items, and the employee didn't check his pockets at the time. OP wrote, as I listened, I started feeling conflicted. One side had clear evidence, but on the other, this guy looked way too innocent. I was thinking, if I were there, I'd be so confused, how do you know who's telling the truth? After 2 days of testimony, the jurors were sent to deliberate. OP described, the jury room was tiny, stuffy, and soon turned into complete chaos. The knitting lady, let's call her Mrs. M, immediately declared, just look at him, you can tell he's guilty. Let's not waste time. The hipster guy disagreed, hold on, the footage isn't clear. What if he really put the items back? OP tried to stay neutral, saying, I don't want to convict someone unless I'm 100% sure. But the football guy just wanted to get it over with, guilty or not, let's just vote, I've got a game to watch tonight. I was cracking up reading this. It sounded more like a sitcom than a serious jury discussion. The real drama hit when they reviewed the footage for the 10th time. OP noticed a small detail. In the video, the defendant looked hesitant, picking up the items, glancing around as if unsure where to put them, but there was no clear footage of him leaving with them. OP pointed it out, saying, if he really stole them, why isn't there a shot of him walking out with them? Mrs. M snapped, because he hid them well, obviously. But the hipster guy countered, or maybe the store clerk confused him with someone else. They argued for 3 straight hours, to the point where OP wrote, I just wanted to scream, can everyone calm down? Can you imagine that? A tiny, overheated room, 12 strangers, and a case with no clear right or wrong. I would have gone insane. After 3 exhausting days of debate, yes, 3 days, the jury finally voted. The verdict? Not guilty. OP wrote, we weren't 100% sure he was innocent, but the evidence wasn't strong enough to convict. I didn't want to ruin someone's life over a blurry video. When they returned to the courtroom to announce the verdict, the defendant broke down crying and hugged his lawyer, while the prosecutor shook their head in disbelief, as if thinking, you all just made a mistake. OP described watching the defendant cry and wondering, did we make the right choice? But the biggest twist came after the trial. The defense lawyer met the jurors in the hallway, thanked them, and then revealed, this young man was wrongfully convicted once before, also due to a mistaken security camera ID. This time, he really didn't take anything. OP was shocked, writing, I got chills reading that. If we had voted guilty, he would have been falsely convicted again. And honestly, I thought, thank God OP and the hipster guy kept a clear head, or this guy's life would have been ruined. Here's an extra tidbit OP later shared. Turns out Mrs. M, the one who was dead set on him being guilty, later admitted that she didn't like the defendant because he looked like my troublemaker nephew. I wanted to scream, Mrs. M, you were ready to convict someone over personal bias. But some jurors defended the decision, saying, regardless, the verdict was fair, the camera footage wasn't strong enough. I found myself stuck in the middle, relieved the guy wasn't wrongly convicted, but also worried, what if he was guilty after all? Here's a theory for you, what if this guy didn't steal this time, but had done it before, which is why the store clerk was suspicious? Or maybe the employee exaggerated the situation to teach him a lesson? Either way, this story really made me realize how tough jury duty is. You have to be fair while dealing with enormous pressure. Would you be able to handle that responsibility? I'm not sure I'd stay calm. So there you have it, OP's story was an emotional roller coaster, from jury room arguments to a shocking final twist that gave me chills. What do you think? Was the defendant truly innocent? Or did the jury get it wrong? Drop your thoughts below, and let me know if you've ever had to make a similarly difficult decision. Story 3, entitled The Sister Who Forced Her Way into a Vacation, 1800 Hours 36:00. Next, we head to our /entitled people, the place where people who think they are the center of the universe appear and create chaos. OP shared that they and their close friend group, 4 people in total, had been planning a dream vacation at a beachfront house. Imagine this, soft white sand, waves gently crashing, an ice-cold cocktail in hand, and absolutely no one disturbing you, the kind of vacation straight out of a travel commercial. OP wrote, we saved up for an entire year, booked the house 3 months in advance, and planned out every day, beach day today, barbecue tomorrow, then lounging around reading books the next day. Just reading that makes me want to pack my bags and tag along. But then, drama came crashing in from an unexpected source, the older sister of one of their friends, let's call her Sister E. She wasn't invited, wasn't part of the plan, but she was the kind of person who, the moment you mention something fun, will find a way to insert herself into it. OP wrote, we casually mentioned the beach trip during a family dinner, and Sister E overheard. At this point, I was already thinking, big mistake. Mentioning a vacation in front of an entitled person is just asking for trouble. And sure enough, Sister E immediately turned their vacation into her own personal stage. The drama kicked off when Sister E called her younger brother, let's call him K, one of OP's friends. She asked straight up, I heard you guys are going to the beach. Let me come too. Kay was caught off guard and replied, Sis, this is a trip for our group, and the house only has space for 4 people. But Sister E didn't care. She insisted, I don't need my own room, I'll sleep on the sofa. Just let me come. OP wrote. Kay tried to politely refuse, saying she could find her own accommodations if she really wanted to come, but we couldn't add another person. At this point, I was thinking, being polite won't work on an entitled person, she's not going to take no for an answer. And, of course, she didn't. Without asking again, Sister E booked a flight to the same beach town, rented a car from the airport, and drove straight to the vacation house the group had rented, without a single word to them. OP wrote. On the first day, we arrived, unpacked our bags, and were about to mix some cocktails when the doorbell rang. We all looked at each other, confused, thinking, who could that be? There are only supposed to be 4 of us. Kay opened the door, and there she was, Sister E, holding a suitcase, standing there as if she belonged there. With a completely straight face, she said, I'm here. Let me in. I swear, reading that made me want to yell, Sister E, do you think this is your house? Who invited you? The whole group was in shock. OP wrote. We just stood there, frozen, not knowing what to say. Then Sister E walked right in, put down her suitcase, and said, I'm family, why wouldn't you let me stay? Family? This wasn't a family gathering. It was a friend group vacation. OP continued. The house had only 3 bedrooms, which we had already assigned, 2 shared rooms and a sofa for our friend who liked sleeping in the living room. There was literally nowhere for Sister E to stay, but she still insisted. I'll sleep on the sofa or share with someone, you guys need to make room for me. Kay tried again to explain, Sis, we don't have space. If you came on your own, you need to arrange your own accommodations. But Sister E snapped, I'm your sister. You can't be this selfish. The drama reached its peak when Sister E started acting like she was part of the group. OP wrote. She grabbed a cocktail we had made, sat down on the sofa, and demanded to go to the beach with us. We told her, you didn't contribute to the house rental, so you can't just join in like that. And her response? I'm a guest. You guys should be hosting me. Guest? I was practically screaming at my screen, Sister E, are you some kind of self-inviting ninja? Who in their right mind would host someone who wasn't invited in the first place? Finally, the group had enough. They called the vacation house management, explained that an uninvited person had arrived and refused to leave, and asked for help. The manager came and politely asked Sister E to leave. Did she go quietly? Of course not. She screamed, you're all selfish. I'm telling Mom about this. You'll regret it. Then she stormed off, dragging her suitcase behind her, and before getting into her car, glared at the group like she was cursing them for life. OP wrote. We just stood there watching her leave, feeling both relieved and slightly terrified of whatever revenge she might be planning. And I was laughing so hard thinking, Sister E, do you think you're the queen of drama? Who invites themselves on a trip, gets kicked out, and still thinks they're the victim? After Sister E was gone, the group finally got to enjoy their vacation, but OP said they lost the entire first day just trying to recover from the chaos. OP wrote. I never thought a fun trip could turn into a full-blown family drama. Reddit commenters were divided, some said, Sister E was way too entitled, she deserved to be kicked out. While others were like, oh, come on, it wouldn't have hurt to let her stay. Me? I fully side with the friend group. A vacation is for relaxation, not for babysitting someone who forced their way in. Now, here's a theory for you all to consider. Did Sister E actually want to go to the beach, or was this just about proving that she could force her way into any situation? Maybe she was jealous of Kay, seeing him having fun with his friends and not her. Whatever the reason, one thing is clear, Sister E is the embodiment of drama. The kind of person you meet once and never forget. One last update from OP. Apparently, After the trip, Sister E actually called their mom and complained that the group abandoned family. And you know what their mom said? "You're an adult, figure it out. Stop bothering your brother." Sister E was furious, but had no choice but to let it go. I read that and cheered, finally. A mom who gets it. No more drama for you, Sister E. So what do you think? If you were Kay, would you have let Sister E stay or kicked her out like the group did? That's it. OP's story was a wild ride, from a relaxing vacation plan to a full-blown entitlement saga. Have you ever met someone like Sister E? Drop your own drama stories in the comments, I need to hear them. Story 4, Satisfaction Revenge by Refusing Service. Finally, we move on to our /petty revenge, a place where small but sweet acts of revenge make you want to clap your hands. OP shares their experience as an employee at a small bakery, the cozy kind of family-run shop with the scent of freshly baked bread wafting through the air every morning. OP writes, "I love this job, meeting nice customers, making cute pastries, and sometimes getting to taste test the ones that didn't turn out quite right. I'd totally want to work there too. Who wouldn't love the smell of fresh bread? But not every day is peaceful." The drama begins with a regular customer, let's call him Mr. X, who OP describes as a nightmare for any server. Mr. X wasn't your average customer, he was the type of person who expected the whole world to revolve around him the moment he walked in. OP recounts, he came in at least twice a week, and every time, there was something to complain about. I'd think, oh no, if I had to deal with this kind of customer, I'd quit early. But OP was more patient than I would have been, and this story turned into their ultimate act of revenge. Mr. X wasn't just picky, he was entitled to an unbelievable degree. OP shares, the first time he came in, he complained that the bread was too dry and demanded a 50% discount even though he had already eaten the whole loaf. 50% off for bread he already ate? I wanted to scream, "Mr. X, do you think this is an all-you-can-eat buffet?" But OP remained polite and explained that the bakery didn't offer discounts like that. Mr. X shot a scowl, paid, and left, but that was just the beginning. The next time, Mr. X came back asking for a free donut because the last one wasn't good enough. OP writes, "I told him he'd need to pay, and he snapped, 'Get the manager.' The manager came out, listened to Mr. X complain for a while, and also refused because the bakery didn't have a policy of giving away free donuts to picky customers. Mr. X was furious but paid, muttering, 'This place is terrible, I won't come back again.' OP thought, yeah, it's probably best if you don't come back. But life wasn't that easy. Mr. X kept showing up regularly, finding new ways to cause trouble. OP shares some memorable moments. One day, Mr. X yelled at the staff because the bread was too hot and burned my mouth, even though he had asked for fresh baked bread. Another time, he threw his bread bag on the floor and said, "The packaging is awful, redo it." The whole bakery started calling him the drama king behind his back, but no one dared to confront him until the fateful day. OP writes, "That day, Mr. X came in, face stormy, demanding a free bread because the last one wasn't good. I'd had enough." The climax of the drama came when OP decided not to take it anymore. Mr. X walked in, pointed to the counter, and said, "Give me that bread, the last one was terrible, this one better be free." OP smiled, a smile I'm sure was as cold as ice, and responded, "Sorry, we won't be serving you today." Mr. X was shocked, screaming, "What? You're refusing me? Get the manager." OP calmly replied, "No need, the bakery has the right to refuse service to disruptive customers, and you're on that list." I wanted to stand up and clap, "OP, you're my hero." Mr. X wasn't giving up easily. He started yelling, "I'm a customer, I have the right to be served. I'm going to sue this place." But OP stood firm, still smiling, while the other customers in the bakery started looking at Mr. X like he was a clown. In the end, Mr. X stormed out empty-handed, not forgetting to shoot OP a glare like he was thinking, "I'll get revenge." OP writes, "Watching him leave, I've never felt better. The whole bakery applauded behind my back. I thought, that's the peak of petty revenge, I want to give OP a hug. After that, Mr. X never returned, at least not until OP posted this. OP writes, I don't know if he actually sued, but the manager said there's no basis for him to do so, so we're fine. Comments on Reddit exploded. Some said, great, Mr. X deserved that. While others thought, it's a bit too much, refusing service isn't that nice. I'm 100% on OP's side. Just because you're in a service job doesn't mean you should put up with everything, right? I have a theory for you to think about. Maybe Mr. X didn't really dislike the bread, but just liked causing trouble to get attention. Like maybe he's lonely, nobody cares about him, so he comes to the bakery to act like the king of drama. Or maybe he had been refused at another place before, and now he's testing his luck everywhere. Either way, I think this act of revenge was as sweet as the donut Mr. X never got for free. Let me add one more update from OP. After the refusal, another customer in the bakery came over to thank OP, saying, I've hated him for a while, today you made my day. OP laughed. Turns out Mr. X wasn't just my nightmare. I read that and felt even more satisfied. Mr. X, you lost completely. What do you think? If you were OP, would you have refused Mr. X, or would you have let it slide to avoid trouble? Have you ever encountered an entitled customer like this? So that's it. OP's story is a petty revenge moment that was satisfying to the very last second. An entitled guy finally got taught a lesson, and I just want to clap. Do you like this revenge? Got any better revenge stories you want to share? Leave a comment, I'm waiting to hear them. That's it, we've gone through 4 stories, the bride drama, the courtroom twist, the entitled sister, and the sweet revenge. Which one did you like the most? Got any crazier stories in your life? Leave a comment. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you won't miss the next drama. See you next time.